Okay, we're about to get started here. Thank you, everybody, for attending today's regular meeting of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks. Today's date is Thursday, March 4th, and we are in March. Happy almost spring. I'd like to call the meeting to order with the roll call of commissioners. When I call your name, if you could indicate that you can see and hear me, that would be great. Commissioner Aguirre.
Yes, I can hear you and see you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jekovich.
Yes, I can hear you and see you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes.
Yes, I can hear and see you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ponce.
Hello, yes, I can hear and see you.
Okay. Is Commissioner Osmond with us today? She is not yet. Commissioner Tolliver, also. Commissioner Burns.
Yes, I can see and hear you.
And we, I believe, are still waiting for Commissioner Cox as well. Before we proceed with our agenda today, I would like to introduce a new member to the commission, Alicia Ponce. See, I just get all flustered with this. Commissioner Ponce is the founder and principal of AP Monarch, a female and Latinx-owned architecture firm. The firm's core service are architecture, sustainability, consulting, and community engagement, and its clients have included the Field Museum, Midway International Airport Concessions, the University of Chicago, and the Chicago Park District. Welcome to the commission, Commissioner Ponce.
Thank you, Commissioner Wong.
Oh my gosh, I hope I calm down here. So last year, Governor Pritzker signed Public Act 101-0640, making certain amendments to the Open Meetings Act so that we, along with other boards and commissions, can continue to host virtual meetings during this COVID-19 public health emergency, provided that certain conditions are met. One of those conditions is that I, as head of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks, determined that an in-person meeting of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its Permit Review Committee are not practical or prudent. I want to make sure our virtual meeting meets all the conditions of the Open Meetings Act as amended. Therefore, I am making a determination pursuant to Section 7E2 of the Open Meetings Act that an in-person meeting of this Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its Permit Review Committee is not practical or prudent. Similarly, I'm also making the determination pursuant to Section 7E5 that because of the disaster as declared by the governor, it is unfeasible for at least one member of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks or its chief administrative officer or its chief legal officer to be physically present at the meeting place for either meeting. Pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Commission on Chicago Landmarks on June 4th, 2020, regarding the chairman's emergency rulemaking powers, I issued emergency rules governing the conduct of remote public commission meetings and provisions for remote public participation, effective January 9th, 2021. These rules were posted on the Commission's website. In line with these emergency rules, today's regular Commission meeting is a virtual meeting being simulcast to the general public via live streaming. Commission meetings have been held virtually since May of last year. Meetings were structured to minimize the chances for technical difficulties. Members of the general public have been encouraged to submit written statements in advance of the meeting, and these have been posted on the Commission's website and are available for public view during the virtual meeting at www.chicago.gov/CCL. Members of the public desiring to speak at today's meeting were required to register before the meeting, and verbal statements by the public for all agenda items will take place at the beginning of the meeting. Applicants and their representatives, as well as aldermen, were asked to contact staff if they desire to speak, and they will be able to do so after the staff presentation on a specific project. One member of the general public signed up to speak as of the deadline of 12:45 on Tuesday, March 2nd, and she was provided instructions regarding how to do so. I'd like to call upon her now. Please limit those comments to 3 minutes. Begin by stating your name and the association you represent, if any, for the record. May we please hear from Lisa DiChiara.
Good afternoon, commissioners. This is Lisa DiChiara. I'm from Landmarks, Illinois. I'm here today to fully support the final landmark recommendation for the Pentecostal Church. We've been working closely with Pastor Sean, who is a wonderful and dynamic leader of that congregation. And we feel fully confident that this congregation will continue to do very good work. And basically, their care for this building has been phenomenal. Their intent is to continue to invest in this building and to rehabilitate it and make sure that it can continue to serve their needs and the needs of the community that they are serving as well. I fully anticipate you will agree that this is deserving of landmark designation, and we hope that you will also, with us, continue to work with the congregation as they pursue their efforts to bring this building back to its full historic integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. DiChiara. That is all of the members of the general public who signed up to speak for the commission meeting. And so we'll now go to the agenda. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, the regular meeting of February 4th, 2021. As a reminder, if you wish to speak or make a motion or second a motion, please press the raise hand and I will call on you. And if you could state your name as you make that motion. So I'd like to make a request a motion. Oh, before I do that, I'd also like to, for the record, that Commissioner Tolliver and Commissioner Cox has now joined us as well. So we have the approval of the minutes of the February meeting up. Could I hear a motion, please?
So move.
And that's
Second.
Commissioner Aguirre and Commissioner Tolliver second that. Let's see, I will do a roll call. Commissioner Ponce. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Jekovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
Commissioner Burns.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
And I think that is it. I also vote yes. The motion carries unanimously. Second item on the agenda today is the report from the Department of Planning and Development for the Pentecostal Church of Holiness, formerly Our Lady of Lourdes, at 4208 West 15th Street in the 24th Ward, which is Alderman Scott's ward. And I'd like to call on Commissioner Cox for the report, please.
Chair, I'm trying to pull up the script, so my apologies.
No problem.
So I am, and I do not have it up. So
okay, if Dan Kleiber, do you want to take this?
Hi, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sure can.
Great. Thank you. The Department of Planning and Development finds that the proposed landmark designation of the Pentecostal Church of Holiness, located at 4208 West 15th Street, supports the city's overall planning goals for the surrounding North Lawndale community area and is consistent with the city's governing policies and plans. Since its opening in 1932, the church has served as an important center of worship for the community. Originally a Roman Catholic parish known as Our Lady of Lourdes, the humble Romanesque revival-style church building was the achievement of a predominantly Czech-speaking parish, which was founded in 1892. In 2019, Pastor Sean Johnson, on behalf of the church's current owner, the Pentecostal Church of Holiness, suggested to the Commission on Chicago Landmarks Program Committee that the building be designated a Chicago landmark. The Pentecostal Church of Holiness continues in the tradition of its predecessor to provide educational access, equitable opportunities, and job training to residents, as well as working to strengthen North Lawndale. The designation would join 4 other designated Chicago landmarks located in North Lawndale, including the Stone Temple Baptist Church, designated in 2016, the Jewish People's Institute, designated in 2000, the 5 houses on Avers District, designated in 1994, and the Sears Roebuck and Company District, designated in 2015. DPD's recent planning for the broader area is consistent with the proposed landmark designation. North Lawndale was identified by the city in 2019 as a priority community in the Invest Southwest initiative. The section of Ogden Avenue from Kedzie to Pulaski Avenues is North Lawndale's Invest Southwest priority corridor. In November of 2020, DPD took a vital step in its implementation efforts by releasing an RFP for a development site on the corridor that identifies multiple development goals based on community feedback and past planning studies, and provides conceptual renderings and site plans to illustrate the community's vision. Redevelopment of this currently vacant site is anticipated to have a catalytic impact on the Ogden corridor by activating the pedestrian environment, adding retail amenities and employment opportunities, and providing new housing units. To support this development, DPD will leverage multiple incentive programs to contribute financial assistance. Additionally, in October 2020, DPD released an RFP for the redevelopment of a roughly 21-acre site bounded by Roosevelt Road, Costner Avenue, 5th Avenue, and Kildare Avenue that has been vacant for years. The RFP prioritizes a mix of land uses on the site with a priority on job creation and leveraging the amenity of a former elevated rail line that has been identified for conversion as a future greenway that will span multiple communities. A long-term planning effort for this recreational opportunity, currently referred to as the Lawndale Line, is anticipated to begin in early 2021. In conclusion, landmark designation of the Pentecostal Church of Holiness supports the city's overall planning goals for Chicago's North Lawndale community area, is consistent with the city's governing policies and plans, and reinforces the reality that historic neighborhood assets can continue to serve as anchors of community life. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Does the commission have any questions for Dan on this item or any comments? Having none, I'd like to request a motion to accept the department's report for the Pentecostal Church of Holiness and take the next step in the designation process to request consent from the property owner. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Hughes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, that's Commissioner Tolliver. So I'll do the roll call. Commissioner Burns.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Ponce.
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes. Oh, sorry. Commissioner
Yeah.
Jekovich. Yeah. Commissioner
Yes.
Jekovich.
Yes.
And Commissioner Aguirre.
Yes.
And I also vote yes, thank you. This motion passes unanimously as well. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the report from the Department of Planning and Development, the Morton Salt Company Warehouse Complex at 1305 to 1357 North Elston Avenue and 1213 to 1251 West Blackhawk Street. This is in the 27th Ward in Alderman Burnett's ward. Commissioner Cox, would you like to take this? Are you ready to take this, or would you like to pass this on?
Again, my apologies, but no files are opening up, so I'm going to have staff.
Not a problem.
Repeat that.
Not a problem, sir. We'll get that taken care of. Candlin Han, you can.
Hi.
If you're
Yeah.
ready.
Thank you, Chairman Wong.
So the Morton Salt Company warehouse complex was completed in 1930 and designed by the Chicago architecture firm Graham Anderson Probst and White. The warehouse complex was designed to house the local salt storage, packaging, and distribution operations of the Morton Salt Company, which was founded in 1848 and served the greater Midwest. The complex is an excellent example of an early 20th century industrial complex with a production shed building type designed for the efficient bulk storage of salt destined for a range of consumers and products. The complex is located at the southeast corner of Elston Avenue and Blackhawk Street and sits along the north branch of the Chicago River. I think you want to go to the previous slide there, Joyce. Thank you. This site is part of the 760 acres along the Chicago River between Kinsey Street and Fullerton Avenue, for which the city has developed a land use plan called the North Branch Framework. The framework was developed as part of the city's Industrial Corridor Modernization Initiative, a multi-year effort to review Chicago's industrial corridors. The plan, adopted by the Chicago Plan Commission in May 2017, includes modern land use parameters for utilization by the Chicago Plan Commission, City Council, and the public to assess future development proposals and land use transitions in the North Branch. The framework's three main goals are to maintain the corridor as an economic engine and vital job center, provide better access for all transportation modes, and enhance the area's unique natural and built environment. Within the framework, the property is located in the north sub-area, a portion of the corridor which permits existing uses while accommodating transition to mixed-use facilities such as office, commercial, and residential. Such a transition is proposed by the owners, 1357 Property Owner LLC. They have proposed an adaptive reuse of the site into event, restaurant, office, and commercial uses. Construction work to accommodate these uses was approved on a pre-landmark basis at the October 2020 Permit Review Committee meeting of the Commission and has begun at the site. The planned development application for the project was approved at the Chicago Plan Commission on January 21 of this year. The Morton Salt Complex is one of approximately 60 buildings, structures, and industrial features throughout the corridor, identified as having unique historical, architectural, or other impact on the corridor environment. Landmarking the property aligns with the framework's treatment of character buildings. Throughout the corridor, industrial structures such as the Morton Sheds are distinctive touchstones that give a sense of place to the North Branch. Many masonry structures designed for manufacturing uses still remain throughout the corridor, and these structures are distinguished by exterior brick, often with heavy timber or steel-framed interior structures, and continue to be adaptively reused due to their architectural uniqueness and character. Goal 1 of the framework's design guidelines are to leverage the corridor's unique urban authenticity by highlighting industrial structures and integrating character buildings with new development where possible. Approximately 60 buildings and structures have these features that contribute to the corridor's industrial environment. Most of these structures are commonly seen in Chicago's industrial areas and have been modified for new uses. To the extent consistent with creative and innovative redevelopment opportunities, this adaptation is encouraged to continue in order to service technology and office uses. Existing buildings and features can often be adaptively reused or integrated into new development through sensitive design and additions to maintain the urban authenticity that draws new businesses to the corridor. Next slide. Thank you. Typically, when land within the industrial corridor is converted to non-industrial use, developers must pay a conversion fee. To support the framework's goal regarding character buildings, in December 2020, the City Council passed an ordinance providing an exemption from the fee when character buildings are landmarked and the project meets certain other zoning requirements. The developers of the Morton Salt Company warehouse complex are seeking landmark designation in order to take advantage of this exemption. Therefore, the Department of Planning and Development finds that the proposed landmark designation of the Morton Salt Company warehouse complex supports the city's overall planning goals for the North Branch Industrial Corridor and the surrounding Westtown community in the Central Planning Region and is consistent with the city's governing policies and plans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kendallin. Does the commission have any questions for Candlin at this time regarding this, or have any comments? If not, I'd like to request a motion to accept the department's report for the Morton Salt Company warehouse complex and take the next step in the designation process to request consent from the property owner. Is there a motion?
So moved, Commissioner Burns.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. And a second by?
Second, Commissioner Jekovich.
Okay, Commissioner Jekovich. We'll do the roll call. Commissioner Tolliver.
Yes.
Commissioner Ponce.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
And Commissioner Aguirre.
Yes.
I also vote yes as well. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the citywide Adopt a Landmark Fund application. This is for Logan Square Boulevard District, property located at 2614 North Kedzie Avenue, the Norwegian Lutheran Memorial Church of Chicago in the 35th Ward, Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosas ward. And I'd like to call on Matt Crawford for the presentation, please.
Thank you, Chairman Wong. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Thank you.
Great. So at the Commission's meeting in November 2019, we informed you of 4 projects that were conditionally awarded by the department for the 2019 round of the Adopt a Landmark Fund. You'll remember each project is required to come back to the Commission for a vote once they finalize their scope and budget. One of the applicants, the congregation at Norwegian Lutheran Memorial Church, has completed this work, and it is to restore their landmark building shown here. The owner is requesting $250,000 of Adopt a Landmark funds for an exterior envelope restoration project totaling approximately $725,078. Just to review, the Adopt a Landmark funds are generated by the Neighborhood Opportunity Bonus. That bonus was established in 2016 and offers increased development rights downtown in exchange for payments to 3 funds: the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, the Local Impact Fund, and for our purpose, the Adopt a Landmark Fund. Adopt a Landmark projects must be consistent with landmark guidelines and involve substantial work that is visible or accessible to the public and must be approved by the Commission. For geographic orientation, the church is located on Kedzie Avenue within the Logan Square District, a Chicago landmark district within the Logan Square community area. Completed in 1912, the Norwegian Lutheran Memorial Church, or simply Minnekirken in Norwegian, is a finely crafted church reflecting the architectural character and quality of Logan Square Boulevard's district, which was designated in 2005. I wanted to note that at the time of the district designation, Norwegian Lutheran was the only congregation with the civic pride to consent to landmark designation, and therefore was the only church not excluded from the boundaries of the district at that time. Architecturally, the Minnekirken exemplifies neighborhood-scaled ecclesiastical architecture executed in the Gothic Revival. The red brick and limestone building displays characteristic features of the Gothic Revival, including pointed arch windows, an entrance portal, vertical piers, a spired tower, and stained glass windows set in tracery. The heritage value of the building obtains from the role that religious congregations and ethnic communities have played in Chicago's history. To identify sources of water infiltration observed on the church interior, in 2019, the congregation commissioned Integrity Structural Illinois to prepare an exterior wall condition assessment report. That report identified adverse envelope conditions that the grant application seeks to address. Next slide, please. The scope of work focuses on 2 areas of the building that are most exposed to weather: 1, the east or front facade from grade to the base of the slate-clad spire, and 2, the side and rear elevations of the tower above the roof line and below the spire. The photographs of these piers show masonry displacement which occurs throughout the front facade. Here the scope is to remove the brick, remove the face brick, repair backup masonry, and install salvaged and historic brick harvested from the side elevations. This photo shows a vertical joint between one of the piers and the main wall. Though it has been repointed repeatedly, the joint has opened, indicating continued movement of the tower structure. The scope, therefore, for this project includes repairing and reinforcing steel and timber framing within the tower to halt this movement. Decorative features of the church are executed in carved Indiana limestone, which exhibits open joints in distress, not uncommon for 108 years of use, as shown in this image of the entrance portal. Displaced stone will be removed and reset. Deteriorated areas of stone will be restored with patching mortar and consolidate. For the remaining areas of masonry which will not be reset, the scope calls for complete repointing with lime-based mortar. To address water infiltration into the wall head, the scope includes flashing and other repairs to manage water and ice at the roof line. So staff recommends approval of the project and the grant application with these conditions. First, that all work must be submitted to staff for approval as part of a building permit application. We, of course, may require material samples, shop drawings, mock-ups, and other tests and samples. All work would be done in accordance with the Commission's guidelines and the Secretary of Interior standards. Number 2, the applicant shall prepare a mock-up of limestone consolidation and patching and notify staff to review and approve this prior to stone treatment beginning. Replacement slate, brick, mortar, and sealant samples shall be reviewed and approved by staff prior to order and installation. The applicant, under number 4, shall notify staff of undocumented detrimental conditions found during the course of the work. Number 5, the applicant and their escrow agent shall enter into an escrow agreement in a form acceptable to Corporation Counsel in order to assure that the project is completed and paid for appropriately. And finally, upon completion of the project, the applicant shall notify staff to provide us with necessary documentation and access to the building so that the final inspection of the work can be completed. And we would come back to the Commission for a report certifying that the work was done according to the project scope, the agreement, and the requirements of the landmark of the AAL fund and your guidelines. So finally, the resolution before you to grant the Adopt a Landmark funds to the applicant includes an Exhibit A, which outlines in greater detail the scope of work and budget, which includes $250,000 in grant funds for the $725,078 restoration project. This resolution and drawings were included in your packets. Should you vote to approve the grant, the Department of Health will then enter into a written agreement with the applicant that will incorporate the resolution. The congregation hopes to begin work this spring. The project is in the 35th Ward, and Alderman Ramirez Rosa has submitted a letter of support. So too has Alderman Wagasback, whose ward neighbors the church. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I wanted to point out that Matt Nygaard, treasurer of the congregation, is here, as is the team's architect, Barnaby Waters, should you have any questions from them. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Does the commission have any questions for Matt at this time? If not, and I probably would, I do have a couple questions regarding the roof. Matt, do you think that I should wait for the architect?
I think that'd be great.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. So then I'll call on Matt Nygaard, please.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Nygaard. I'm the treasurer of North America, or the Norwegian Lutheran Memorial Church, Minnesherken. I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak to the Commission of Chicago Landmarks and about our Adopt a Landmark grant application. This is a brief summary of our project to date. In the spring of 2019, our architect, Barnaby Waters, noticed that rainwater was coming from behind the fascia bricks above our 1908 cornerstone, and he alerted our church council of this pressing matter. And then in our report, we said that in June of 2019, we hired JSL Building Restoration to stabilize the facade and tower of the church while we explored more permanent and substantial work on the facade and tower. And so over the past 18 months, we've hired Barnaby Waters and Ed Swears of Integrity and Structural Engineering, Illinois, to create a scope of work with drawings. And we can't thank them enough for their help and guidance in this project. We also like to thank the Department of Planning, Deanna Cavollo, Daniel Claiborne, and Mark Crawford for their help, and our alderman, Carlos Ramirez Rosa, and Scott Wagustock. Thank you very much. Magna Tusen Tak.
Thank you, Mr. Nygaard. Does the commission have any questions for Mr. Nygaard? Seeing none. And Mr. Nygaard, you said that your architect was here as well?
Yeah, I believe Barnaby Waters was supposed to be on the call.
Okay.
I'm here on the call.
Fantastic, thank you. I had a quick question regarding the roofing material and the condition of the roof. Obviously, some of the things that Matt Crawford had spoken about is dealing with the flashing, which is certainly one of the key points of water infiltration. But could you talk a little bit about the materials of the roof and the condition of those materials?
Sure. Can you hear me well?
We sure can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the question. The roofing is generally in good condition. It's mostly the original slate. Some of the slate has been replaced during previous flashing repair projects. So the copper flashing shown in that photograph itself is in fairly good condition, except the masonry parapet walls are in terrible condition. So usually we like to repair the masonry and then put new flashing on. So in general, the roof is in fairly good condition. The steeple slate is stable. The major problem we found with the water management from the steeple down onto the building was a major cause of freeze-thaw damage. And that's a major element of what we seek to repair on this project is water management. And that includes a lot of copper work.
Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that, and then so the roof you feel is still has a pretty good lifetime ahead of it.
Yes, it does. But we were hoping to make this part of the project, and unfortunately, the pricing has come back such that we can't really afford it. We were hoping to do it during this project to take advantage of the mobilization of the contractor, but we just can't swing it. So we might be coming back to you at some point.
Okay. Thank you for that notice on that. Does the commission have any questions of Mr. Waters?
I have a question.
Commissioner Jekovich, please.
So first, it's an incredible looking structure. It's a beautiful church, and it's exciting to see the restoration that's needed that is taking place. So thank you for taking that leadership on. And I guess question about the color scheme of the church, and if that's part of it. I see that it has white accents, and do we know if that was part of, I mean, everything's black and white, so has there been any thought on are those painted windows, and is that part of the restoration also, repainting those, and is the intent that it stays white?
Thank you for the question. The windows did have some repair work in the last 5 years. The main stained glass window on above the doorway was restored, and the windows were repainted at that time. The repainting of the windows is not in the scope of this project because they have been recently repainted. Although we're going to investigate the original color of the paint just to see, for future reference, when we do repaint, to see if we can go back to the original color.
Great. Yeah, because it does seem like that may not be the right white.
That's true. And from what I understand, in those days, sometimes they would paint the window, the tracery, the color of stone. And so it kind of would look like limestone. So we're going to investigate that, and that'll be part of our future recommendations back to the church.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for
Yes.
either? Yes.
I have a few actually, and they're really about the application. So I'm not sure if they need to go to Matt Crawford or Mr. Waters or the church treasurer. So my first question is the application that we received, the cover letter requests a grant of $526,797. But what is before us today is a $250,000 request. So I'm hoping someone can speak to what that difference is and why.
Yeah, this is Matt Nygaard. I can answer that. I think at the time we made the grant application was shortly after we discovered the issues in June. So we made the grant application in July. Our original estimate for the work was substantial, and we wanted to make sure that we had a significant reservoir of funds for additional projects in the future. And so that allowance had us require or ask for a larger Adopt a Landmark grant. With the $250,000 grant, we do have the funds available. We've raised in the last year $113,567 in fundraising from 121 donors of members, friends, Logan Square people that love our church. So we have broad support, and we have the funding to complete the work.
Well, Mr. Nygaard, congratulations on that. That's no small feat to raise that much funding, and especially from so many donors. It's very impressive. Doesn't quite get at my question though. So I guess what I'm wondering, if the request that's before us is less than half of what was put forward, is it because the scope of the project has changed, meaning contracted, or is it because on further developing or further analysis, the work is substantially less?
I think what it was is that we asked for a large amount. We were awarded $250,000 or preliminarily. And so our budget is based on the amount that we were awarded.
Right. So the scope hasn't changed. You
No.
just are getting support from all of these other outside sources. Which
Exactly
is
right. And,
gotcha. Okay.
And our church leaders had the foresight of investing years ago. And so we did have a pretty substantial reservoir of money for this kind of work. So
that's wonderful. So my next question, which is somewhat related, the application states that the project budget had not been bid out yet. That was quite a while ago, though, almost 2 years ago. What's the update on that?
Barnaby, do you want to answer that one?
Sure, I can speak to that. Thank you for the question. The project has been was bid out to 5 or 6 different contractors. And we have selected a contractor, which happens to be the lowest bid, the lowest qualified bid. And so that we are in process of finalizing the contract with that contractor. So we're well on the way to making it happen.
That's great. Then my last question is the application, and again, this was from, I think, April of 2019, says that the church is seeking sole landmark status. What's going on with that?
I can answer that one. Commissioner Burns, because the building is a contributing building within the Logan Square Landmark District, the policy is really not to double dip in the sense that it's already treated and considered as a landmark. So to bring it forward individually, it's really not necessary, we feel.
So that status, or basically, is it reasonable to say, Matt, that has been withdrawn because the church already has all the benefits of landmark designation because it's in the district?
That's correct. It's treated the same. And like I said, there were probably half dozen houses of worship when the landmark district was proposed. And this was the only one with the civic vision to say we are consenting to be part of this landmark district. Most landmark districts that we put forward, houses of worship will opt out. And this congregation said, no, we're part of this. So that's really great. And I really wanted to highlight that, that they took that step, and they're treated as a landmark. And it's a very prominent, visually very prominent building within the landmark district. And they do feature in the district report.
Great, thank you.
May I make one more comment on that? We actually commissioned Matt Wickland to create a landmark application document, and did tremendous research. And even though that we found out from Matt Crawford that we do not need to resubmit a landmark application, we value this document tremendously, and provides a rich history and photo documentation of the church. And so that has since changed, obviously, since the application for the Adopt a Landmark grant.
Thank you, Mr. Nygaard.
I'd like to add one comment, if I may.
Oh, yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you. We did explore the option of landmarking the church interior. And so that's something that I think is still in discussion. But in terms of this project, we didn't need to landmark the exterior of the structure, but we're still considering the interior, because a lot of churches in the area, while the exteriors are landmarked, they've been converted to condominiums and other usages which don't respect the interior history. And we're hoping that maybe we can maintain this building as a house of worship moving forward. So that's something that's still in progress.
Thank you, Mr. Waters. Alderman Ramirez Rosa, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much, Chairman Wong, and thank you to the commissioners for your service to the city of Chicago. I am attending today's hearing in support of Adopt a Landmark funds for the Minnekirken for the Norwegian American Lutheran Church. Not only is it an important part of the Boulevard's historic district, not only is it an important part to Norwegian American history and culture, it is still a vibrant part of Chicago's Norwegian American community and the Midwest Norwegian American community, but it's also an important part of the Logan Square community. They have opened their doors to the community countless times to host important public meetings, to discuss zoning, to discuss landmarks, to discuss preservation, to discuss the things that are happening in our community. So it's not only an important place of worship for Norwegian Americans in the Midwest and in the United States, but it's also an important hub of community space and public interaction in our neighborhood. So they play such an important role in our community. It's such a beautiful Gothic building to look at. And so I certainly hope that the Commission on Chicago Landmarks supports this Adopt a Landmarks fund application. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Does the commission have any questions for Alderman Ramirez Rosa? And seeing none. That's great. If there's no other further discussion, I'd like to request a motion to approve a resolution for a citywide Adopt a Landmark Fund grant for the 2614 North Kedzie Avenue, the Norwegian Lutheran Memorial Church of Chicago. Is there a motion?
So moved for this beautiful structure.
Hughes. Okay, is there a second?
Second, Commissioner Aguirre.
Commissioner Aguirre. So we'll do the roll call. Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Burns.
Yes.
Commissioner Tolliver.
Yes.
Commissioner Ponce.
Yes.
Commissioner Jekovich.
Yes.
Thank you. And I am voting yes as well. The motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, folks. This is fantastic, and we can't wait to see the work that happens.
Yeah, Megna tusen tak. That means many thousand thanks in Norwegian.
You're welcome. The next item on the agenda is the Permit Review Committee reports. And there's a report in the project reviewed at the February 4th, 2021 Permit Review Committee. And Commissioner Aguirre, if you'd like to give that report, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair, sorry, still taking time. Oh, I can't find those notes. Sorry about that. Hold on a second. I apologize, Chair. I cannot find those notes.
Why don't we do this? We'll call on Larry for the report and come back to you. If somebody could email Commissioner Aguirre.
Appreciate that.
That would be great. Larry?
Sure. For the month of February, staff reviewed 125 permit applications. 3 of these applications relate to projects reviewed by the Permit Review Committee. A total of 143 reviews were performed by staff, and the average number of days to issue the approval or corrections was 2.1 days. I also do have an update for 2107 North Cleveland if we're not yet ready to go with the other information. Let me just pull up my notes here. So at the October 2020 meeting of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks, staff provided a brief update on the emergency demolition of 2107 North Cleveland in the Mid-North District. Pursuant to a memo from the Department of Buildings, the structure was deemed imminently dangerous and hazardous. As you know, the Historic Preservation Ordinance provides that should such a finding be made by DOB, demolition must be approved, which it basically says the commission shall approve the work notwithstanding other considerations. Since this update was given, the city's Department of Law has negotiated a settlement agreement with the owners in the amount of $10,000. Suzanne Hillal, counsel with the city, is on hand today to answer any questions about the process and the settlement. That's really all I've got to say about it. Okay. So if Suzanne is available, maybe.
Thank you, Larry. Mm-hmm. Does the commission have any questions for Larry or the attorney on this item? Having none, Commissioner Aguirre, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
No
Thanks for your patience. The Permit Review Committee reviewed 2 projects at its February 4th, 2021 meeting. One project was approved as submitted, and the second project was approved with conditions. The report summarizing the scope of the proposed projects and the committee's decision was included in your packets. This report is for your information and for the record.
Thank you, Commissioner. With that, there's no further business. I'd like to request a motion to adjourn, and I guess Commissioner Aguirre, it's your call as to when you want to, how long do you want for a break?
Thank you. Well, first, I would like to also welcome Commissioner Ponce, just because it's really exciting to see new members coming in. So I just want to say that quickly. And just asking, would it be okay to reconvene at 1:40?
That'll be great.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. So I'll see you in 5 minutes.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you guys at the Permit Review Committee. Commissioner Gary, I will not be voting, but I will be listening in.
Thank you.
You bet.